Hi, Bob Vaughn here with DNB Home Mortgage, and I just wanted to take a second to go over how much money do you need to purchase real estate and close on a primary residence. So we're covering primary residence here. We're not talking about an investment property or a second home. We're going to take a look at 3 different loan products. We're going to look at a conventional loan. We're going to look at FHA loan. We're going to look at a VA loan. In fact, FHA and VA are only used to purchase primary residence. You can't purchase a second home or investment property with FHA or VA. So first one, conventional loan. Let me start off by saying that a conventional loan is not 20% down. There are a lot of buyers out there, consumers, that think a conventional loan means that you have to put 20% down. In fact, that's not true. A conventional loan really just means that the government is not involved. So with a conventional loan, you can get into a home with as little as a 3% down payment. But in order to qualify for that 3% down payment, you have to be considered a first-time home buyer. And first-time home buyer to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac means something probably different than what a first-time home buyer means to individuals, which they think, well, I've never owned a home before, so therefore I'm a first-time home buyer, or I owned a home 10 years ago, so I'm not a first-time home buyer, which wouldn't be true, actually. The definition of a first-time home buyer is that you have not owned real estate within the last 3 years. And in fact, to qualify as a first-time home buyer, let's say you're married and your spouse owned property 2 years ago, but you have not ever owned property. And so you can have a married couple where one spouse owned property and the other one didn't in the last 3 years, and that would qualify for his first-time home buyer. So only one person applying for the loan has to have not had ownership in property in the last 3 years to qualify for a first-time home buyer. So if you are a first-time home buyer, you can get into a conventional loan with as little as 3% down. If you're a repeat buyer, 5% down payment would be the minimum down payment for a conventional loan. All right, so that's conventional. FHA over here, the minimum down payment we have is 3.5%. All right, that doesn't matter whether you're a first-time home buyer or not. That is just the requirement of FHA, that you have to put in at least a minimum down of 3.5%. VA, if you served in the military, you're honorably discharged, you can get a VA loan and purchase property with 0% down. All right, so that's down payment. Then, on the other side of things, we have something called closing costs and prepaid items. And how much are those? Well, every property is different depending on if it's in a flood zone, maybe you have an HOA capital contribution. There's a lot of different things that can go into this, but a good estimate, all right, if you're talking about a property that's $350,000, between $100,000 and $350,000, a good estimate for closing costs and prepaid items would be 3 to 3.5%. So let's just say you're a first-time home buyer and you want to cover your closing costs. Well, how much money would you need in order to do that? Well, I would say conservatively, you're going to want to have the 3% down, which you're going to have at a minimum, and then you're going to want to have another 3.5% down to cover the closing costs, which would put you at about 6.5%. So if you're buying a $100,000 property, you're going to want to have saved $6,500. Now, as a borrower and a buyer, you have to come out of pocket for a conventional loan if you're a first-time home buyer, 3%, or 5% if you're a repeat buyer, for FHA, 3.5%. You have to pay that down payment. Now, closing costs, let's say you don't have 3% for a first-time home buyer, or 5% for a repeat buyer, or 3.5% for the FHA, that's all you have. Hey, I only got $7,000 and I want to buy a $200,000 house. I don't have money to pay for my closing costs and prepaids. Well, guess what? We can have the seller pay for them. All right. So if you're working with your real estate agent, you and your real estate agent can negotiate in your contract that the seller pays for the closing costs on the property, and FHA can pay all the way up to 6% of closing costs. And conventional, if you're putting less than 10% down, the seller can pay for up to 3% of your closing costs. So at the end of the day, if we're talking about an FHA loan, if you have $7,000 in the bank and you want to purchase a $200,000 property, you can do it. You can put the 3.5% down, which would be $7,000 on $200,000, and we can have the seller pay for 3.5% of the closing costs, and that way you can get into a house with as little as 3.5% down. VA, 0% down. So we can have a VA loan, we can ask the seller to pay for the closing costs. And so, closing costs, what I want to stress here is that they can be paid by the seller. which will help reduce the amount of cash that a buyer needs to bring to closing. If you have any questions, please give us a call. You can call me at 239-410-0594, or feel free to call the office, 239-307-5363, and I hope you have a great day.